people that's been through substance abuse. You realize how bad that is nowadays?
Yep.
You realize how many people are literally messed up out of their brains, even on really prescription drugs?
Yeah, that's right.
But so often people get, because I tell you what, so often you can get in that bottle, but you can't get out of that bottle. And if you ain't careful, man, we just had a guy Friday night in our church. He wasn't really a prominent member, but he is just a member. And I don't know how to use, I hate to use the word prominent because we're all just non-prominent. A bunch of dogs. But, you know, just a regular lay person. He wasn't a leader or anything like that in the church. O.D. Friday night, a friend of mine. Matter of fact, a distant family member of mine. You know what? There's a lot of people come to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. They got issues you don't know about.
You're right.
And they got things in their life they don't know about. And you know what? They'll go out to the world system and give them some little psychotic little counseling session. And I know some of that stuff's good. But I tell you, getting right with God, getting closer to God, getting in the book, getting in church is one of the greatest things that a person can ever get. But so often they don't feel like they can come here because we're going to talk about it.
Right.
We're going to run them down. Number 4, the fourth group. I'll tell you, I just had 5. I'm going to be done in just a minute. Fallen Christians. You know, we're good about stepping on those that went down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, I've lived long enough after 45 years of being saved. Sometimes, you know, if somebody, a preacher said one time, the only time that you and I should ever look down on anybody is when we're reaching down to pick them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only time we should look down.
That's
Because
good,
you
bud.
could be down. You could be that person that's laying there. But you know what? Sometimes, a lot of times people that fall, believe it or not, they fall hard.
Come on.
Some people go out and they go down real deep. Guess what we do oftentimes? We kick them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, devil. I knew he wasn't saved. I knew he wasn't where he ought to be. Well, maybe he wasn't. But you know what? When they hear that stuff on Facebook, here I go back again, and they see themselves trashed, guess what? They don't come back. They can be restored. They can be brought back into the fold. But yet, we that's supposed to be spiritual, instead of going to them and saying, look, I'm not condoning them, I'm not sympathizing with their sin, but you know, when they go down, they need somebody to reach down a hand and say, hey, if we can help you, we're here to help you. So often we don't do that. I thought about a 5th group. This is just when I recently prepared these thoughts. I thought about there's so many homeless people
Yes, sir.
around us now. And it's amazing. Sometimes my carnal nature wants to just say, I'm sorry, dog, need to go get a job. And you know, a lot of that stuff's true.
Yep.
But you know what? There's so often that where my business at, we just opened up a new office. And they wander in right beside there's a convenience store, right beside my office building. And I've got to the point now, because they sit there on benches, and I walk by, and you say, you wouldn't do this. Yeah, I did do it, and I have done it, and will do it. I'll talk to them. I'll witness to them. I'll sit down, invite them to church. And there's been more than one time I've talked to them long enough to find out maybe they may be hungry. I'll give them money. And you say, I wouldn't do that. They'll buy alcohol. Well, sometimes they may, sometimes they won't. But I've made friends with some homeless people and tried to help them to realize, hey, the world don't have anything for you. And I know you're down, but hey, there's a God in heaven that loves you and wants you to get saved. But so often we got the writing under our nose. But we won't even pay them any attention.
Right.
I'm going to give you this and I'm going to be done. What does restoration look like? What does it consist of? Anybody know anything? I got 3 points and I'm done. What does restoration look like? If anybody know anything about classic cars?
Yeah, bring it back.
Classic cars, I'm telling you, if you've ever run into somebody that really likes hot rods,
Yep.
wow, oh, wow. Hey, I insure classic cars. And I've watched just the demeanor of a man that's got a good old hot rod. I mean, son, it's so slick. It's so fine. I mean, son, it's his baby.
Yes, sir.
Is a hot rod. And people that restore classic cars, son, you can almost slap her dog before you can.
Yeah.
Before you can. You better not put no dent in that car or even touch it. You better not put no scratch on it. And they'll look at you. Don't touch it. Don't get you. I mean, because it's a real deal to them. Mm-hmm. But you know what I thought about? If I could say this, watching Michael Pearson come back, Brother Paul, has been one of the biggest joys of my life. Watching him get up and watching him march on, and I watched him go through some real tough things the last 12 months. Get hit with some hard things, even after he got out. But you know what? There's something in me. I look back and say, I'm so grateful to God I didn't just pass him by. There's people that he went to church with, never called him one time. Hey, people that he ministered with, that never wrote him one letter. Hey, people that he, really, that should have been there for him.
You're right.
That was not there for that brother. And he could have just said, I quit, they all are a bunch of hypocrites. I'm glad God just nudged me. And it may have been because I was supposed, and I really believe I was supposed to. But you say, how do you restore? What restoration? Because, the thing I thought about, there's three things, and I'm done. He said he restoreth my soul. Well, you know what you do with restoration, number one? There's 3 C's. You restore with caution. You just don't let somebody that messed up their life just come in and start teaching Sunday school. Mm-hmm. You got to have enough sense to do that. No better than that. But you know what? When somebody goes through something like that, when somebody gets out of jail, or somebody goes through a divorce, or somebody falls, or somebody goes through substance abuse, and sometimes when people come in, we got to use compassion and love and try to reach out to them and help them. But you know what? You've got to always restore something with caution. Because you are cautious doesn't mean you need to be calloused.
Come on.
Cautiously help that person that's going through a divorce. Cautiously, if God allows a man that got out of prison to sit in here, you as a church, love on them. Let them know, hey, the world ain't got nothing for you. We'll love you. We'll have to be careful with you. But we'll do everything we can to be there for you. You restore something with caution. Number 2, restoration comes with care and compassion. You know what sometimes we lack as a church, and I lack as a Christian? Sometimes I'm not as compassionate as I should be. And I guarantee you, God will test me, Brother Paul, this week. I promise you, God will send somebody in my way. Say, okay, big boy, went to Salisbury and preached real high and heady. What are you going to do about this deal? I guarantee it'll happen. Kind of like preaching on anger and somebody cutting you off in traffic.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yes,
It'll happen. But you know what? We as a church not only need to be cautious in restoration, number 2, we need to show care and compassion. But last of all, we need to show a completed conviction. You say, what do you mean by that, preacher? Don't forget the person that God put in your path.
Yeah.
So often, you know why? They fade. They fade. You say, why they fade, preacher? You know, so often people come in, they sit down, and they just come in and just sit down at your church, and just come in and sit just down on the pew and just start looking around.
Yep.
And they're trying to fill this thing out. They're wondering, do I fit in here?
Amen.
Do these folks even want me here?
Right.
You know what? So often, I guess that's why I've always loved old country churches.
Yeah.
Just, you know, the cathedral kind, the big chandelier kind. Always scared me, and they still do. I just like want to go in. Might be that every redneck in the county goes to church. I love it.
Yeah.
Got just a bunch of old sinners saved by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Come on,
You know what? They'll come in and sit down. They're going to fill us out. They're going to wonder, will anybody even shake my hand? Will anybody tell me we're glad to see you? Is anybody really going to really follow up with me after I come and try to get me to come back? You know why they come in and don't come back a lot of times in other churches? They go out and feel like, well, they didn't want me here no way.
Right.
You're right.
And really, the way we treat them sometimes, we pretty much treat them like, hey, we ain't got time for you.
Right.
We really don't have any need for you because you ain't got a lot of money. You can't put nothing in offering.
What about that?
You preach it, brother.
Amen. But you know what? So often they come in and they leave because they don't really believe they found anything here. And that's sad. To me, it's sad. And that bothers me as a Christian. After all these years of being saved, that I'd bump into somebody and say, he ain't got anything that I want. That haunts me sometimes, Paul. I want to tell you this and I'm done. I know I've threatened that 3 times. I can remember 5 after 12. I've been winning those. I will remember, and I know y'all don't know much about me. I remember back when I went through the lowest valley of my life. And I sat at New Manor Baptist Church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. By myself, family in a million pieces. And I wept service after service after service. And the only thing that got me through, it was the only place I could go to find refuge for my soul. And I felt like it was the only place in the world, Brother Paul, that wanted me to be there. You know what? There's people all around this church. They're looking for some place after they went down that can fit back in. Be that kind of church. Be that kind of Christian. Be that kind of person. You may not have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. What do you do with drug addicts? I don't know all that we do. What do you do with prisoners? There's a lot of things you got to be careful with. What do you do with the homeless? I don't know all the answers. But somehow let them know there's a refuge for the soul at our church. Let's bow for prayer. Heads bowed, eyes closed. I wondered this morning,